So Bipin Patel is the CEO of Flexionics Energy, a Swiss company that has spent the last few years quietly proving something that most of the energy industry hasn't fully clocked yet. That Bitcoin mining isn't just a buyer of stranded power, it's actually a grid asset. Because right now, Flexionics is operating 14 megawatts of frequency regulation capacity on the Swedish national grid. You might have seen my video this morning where we covered some work in Finland. It's quite similar in Sweden, but they're even more advanced because if you followed, was it Bastian's talk? Sweden had the cheapest power prices in Europe currently. But in the past year alone, those assets have been activated over 11,000 times, delivering 30 gigawatt hours of regulation energy. They are not selling hash rate to the grid operator. They are selling response time. They're selling controllability, and they're getting paid for it through Europe's frequency regulation markets, on top of whatever the mining itself generates. It's the same idea behind Texas demand response. You might be familiar with ERCOT and the work that's being carried out there, where they are also being paid by the grid for being flexible, applied, in this case, to a European ancillary services market. And it's working. The company is now planning to triple capacity. I had to fact-check that with Claude. Thank you, Claude. And they are currently expanding across the continent. His talk this morning is called Bitcoin Mining for Grid Stabilisation via Frequency Regulation Markets. Over to you, Bipin. Have a great talk.
Thank you, Joe, for the introduction. It's been amazing being here. I think there's a lot of great people doing a lot of great work. It's been fantastic seeing the overlap as well as the innovation and the differences with all the various projects and companies that we've already heard about this morning. So my name is Bipin Patel. I run Flexionics Energy. We operate frequency regulation assets on the Swedish national grid. And today, I'm going to tell you why that matters. We have literally built ourselves into a corner. On one side, a grid powered by 100%, or aspiration for a grid to be powered by 100% renewables, intermittent, unstable, and curtailed at peak generation. On the other side, we want to have unlimited AI, rigid, inflexible, running 24/7, regardless of what the grid is doing. We cannot have both. The physics just doesn't allow it. Unless you have Bitcoin mining. Bitcoin mining is the only technology that resolves this trade-off and does it not partially, but completely. Three forces are colliding simultaneously. The first, AI demand explosion. Every GPU cluster that's added to a grid already operating at capacity creates rigid, uncontrollable demand. Number two, renewable volatility. Wind and solar cannot match demand upon command. They produce when they produce, not when you need it. Number three, the regulation deficit. Grid operators around Europe are calling for reliable and fast responding flexible load. And the supply is not keeping up with the pace. These three forces arrived at the same time on one particular day. You know when. You experienced this. 28th April 2025. The Iberian grid failed. Not due to equipment failures, not due to a cybersecurity attack, but driven by the same three forces that we've already described, all compressing the grid at the same moment. Regulators and grid operators across Europe are all coming to a similar conclusion. Active demand response is needed in order to manage the level of deployment that we're having in renewables and to fill the flexibility gap. They already see this. They just haven't connected it to Bitcoin yet. I'm going to show you why that's important. Before I tell you what works, I'm going to tell you about what doesn't work. AI data centers, their profitability and their business model requires 99.9% uptime, rigid, inflexible, zero flexibility. Batteries, good solution. They respond quickly, but they're capped in terms of duration. They require high capex and government subsidies often to make them to remain viable. Traditional demand response. Participation is usually voluntary. They respond slowly in minutes, not in seconds. And their participation is fragmented across operators. There's only one column on this table that offers sub-second response, unlimited duration, and benefits from two revenue streams. Grid pays for capacity, and the Bitcoin network pays for hashing. For us, curtailment is not a cost, it's a revenue event. The insight that changes everything. As I mentioned, again, AI data centers depend on a business model of almost 100% uptime. Curtailment for them is an existential risk. There is a single property of Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining can literally profit at any percentage of uptime. And it can pause at any time, instantly, indefinitely, with unlimited duration, with zero penalty. This is what makes Bitcoin mining the ultimate grid flexibility asset. Sub-second response, under a second. It can stay on or off as long as we want. We never inject power into the grid, and it benefits from two revenue streams. The grid pays for capacity and activation revenue, and the Bitcoin network pays for hashing. Let me explain how this works in 4 steps. ASICs run, Bitcoin mining pays for the hashing revenue. We receive a signal from the grid operator. We respond in real time. Our proprietary control system will respond according to the various programs that we're participating in. Fast program, under a second. A mid-speed program, FCRD, within 5 to 30 seconds, or MFRR, which is a slow program, within minutes. The grid stabilizes, and again, we earn from the grid, and we earn from Bitcoin hashing. And here's the proof. This is not just a proof of concept. This is actually results from Sweden in 2025 from live operations. In Boden, in the price area SE1, we have 12 megawatts live, pre-qualified for FCRD, MFRR, and FFR. In Utanjo, an additional 2 megawatts also live. 14 megawatts across these 2 sites have delivered over 200 gigawatt hours plus of flexibility capacity. And we have an additional 30 megawatts expansion project ongoing at the moment. In Sweden also. Yeah, actually, it's an expansion on the Utanjo site. This didn't happen overnight. Let me tell you a little bit about our journey. In November 2023, the Boden site was pre-qualified for FCRD, and that was our first live participation on the Swedish national grid. In 2024, we managed to additionally pre-qualify for FFR and MFRR, being the first to actually use the same asset base to be qualified in multiple frequency regulation programs. Utanjo went online in 2025, and cumulatively, we managed to reach over 200 gigawatt hours plus of flexibility capacity. And 2026, we're looking to continue with our expansion project of 30 megawatts, which is currently ongoing. Now let me explain a little bit about the economics. Again, these are not assumptions. These are actual stats from our sites. As mentioned, over 11,000 activations in a 12-month period. Another testament to our reliability and price competitiveness is out of those 11,000 activations, more than 10% of the time, our assets were the only asset in the SE1 price region providing grid stabilization. Almost 2/3 of our revenue comes from ancillary services compared to hashing or compute. We have over 50% gross margin. The project IRR for expansion is just over 50% as well, giving us a less than 2-year payback. Compared to batteries, a 4-hour battery system can cost up to about $700,000 per megawatt. Our install cost is about $250. At 1/3 the capex, we're generating twice the profit. We are profitably assisting the national grid, but it's still not easy. There are a lot of challenges, regulatory, legal, which we face every day, especially when you're trying to do something that you feel is good for the country. Sometimes it's quite painful to be faced with, I would say, unreasonable challenges. The Bitcoin mining landscape. Here's where I believe Europe is now facing, whether the Bitcoin mining industry acknowledges or not. Hash rate is continuing to increase, compressing pure Bitcoin mining yields. Sites that were profitable 2 years ago are now distressed. Owners have 2 choices. Either they shut down or they convert. We are building our own pipeline. As I said, in Sweden, we've got 14 megawatts operational with a 30 megawatt expansion. We have an additional 150 megawatts of pipeline sites already lined up across Sweden, Norway, and Finland for phase 2 and 3 expansion. In Norway, currently looking at a 15 megawatt opportunity, a distressed site, and we are evaluating a hybrid conversion. In Sweden, another 2 megawatt site that shut down in January that could become profitable and operational again in a few months' time. No, hybrid basically, I would say, combining mining, frequency regulation, and heat recapture or any other use. The window is open now, but we don't know how long. I want to close with 3 trends, not projections or forecasts, but what I see as structural certainties. Grid instabilities. As renewables continue to grow, ancillary services markets will continue to grow in both price and volume, structurally over the next decade. This is not about policy, it's arithmetic. Hash price. As hash price continues to grow, mathematically certain, pure mining margins will continue to be challenged and compressed. Hybrid operators are the ones who are going to survive, others won't. AI load on grids. Data center demand is being added in gigawatts on grids that are already operating at capacity. As rigid demand increases, what we do becomes more and more valuable. Not one of these is reversible, and not one of them requires Bitcoin price to increase. They're all independent, and they all make our business proposition more valuable. We started today asking an impossible question. Can we have a grid based on 100% renewable and unlimited AI data center demand at the same time? And the answer is yes, but only if you use Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining is the only technology that exactly does this with sub-second response, unlimited duration, and no chemical risk. The energy transition and the AI revolution both run on the same foundation. Bitcoin mining technology is that foundation.
Thank you so much, Bipin. Super interesting stuff from Sweden there.